Welcome to Utah Explored. Join us on a guided tour as we take you across the state to explore Utah's most amazing places, unique attractions, destinations off the beaten path, while learning all about the culture, history, and one-of-a-kind activities that you can only experience here in Utah. On each episode, we meet locals, guides, tourism professionals, and organizations across the state as they show us what they love about Utah, what there is to do in the area, how to visit these locations, and, as always, discuss what we can do to protect these great places we all love for future visitors. Coming up on this episode of Utah Explored, we visit some of Utah's most unique and interesting places. Together, we'll explore the otherworldly, hoodoo-filled landscapes of Goblin Valley State Park. Take a dive into a magical hot spring on an unforgettable scuba diving adventure. And finally, we'll join archeologists from across the state as they show us some of Utah's iconic treasures while discussing what we can do to keep them safe. So put on your adventure pants, grab your camera, and don't forget your scuba gear on another exciting episode of Utah Explored. Only an hour and a half from Arches National Park, there is a place unlike anything you have ever seen. When you visit Goblin Valley State Park, you'll be able to immerse yourself in a landscape filled with hoodoos, which, due to their strange shapes, are often referred to as goblins. Visitors to the park are able to hike unobstructed through the maze-like corridors of these sandstone formations and canyons.
I'll steal the quote from someone else. They say that Mother Nature has played favorites on Utah, and Utah State Parks is a recipient of that. You know, you go to some of these locations and you see the park through the eyes of a 4-year-old for the first time. It's magical. Maybe it's that family that comes out and says, we can go down in there? And yeah, you're going to be able to walk down in there, in and out through the goblins. Behave yourself and be respectful. You can go down in there. And so your eyes are going to get a different look, and you're going to go, whoa, this is cool.
My name is Jim Wells. I'm the park manager here at Goblin Valley State Park. I've been around Utah for 7 years now, and a lot of that's been right here at Goblin Valley. You can pick a direction, look all around you. You can go in that direction and find something interesting. You don't have to stick to predetermined paths. You don't have to go to specific parks. You can just go out in the wilderness and find something nice. The Valley of Goblins, of course, is the most unique part of this park. It's one of the world's largest concentration of hoodoo formations anywhere. We do let you play in it freely, so you can just pick a direction. You just go. You just find something that looks neat and you explore it. The campground is unique in that there are actually goblins in it, so you can camp around them. It's not quite as extensive as this valley here, but there are still a few. And with the towering cliffs, you get amazing light. You do get shade in the evening as the sun goes down, and it's just a really nice place. The yurts, we do have the first yurts of the Utah State Park system. They're modeled after Mongolian tents. So you can come out here, you can spend the night in a giant tent. We do have air conditioning, we do have heat. There's some electricity in there. We do provide you with a grill, and just be set aside from the rest of the campground. It's kind of your private place. These are hoodoos like you'd find in Bryce Canyon, but they're smaller, they're more stunted. They are called goblins because back in 1949, 1950, when people were first discovering them, Lord of the Rings was pretty big, so goblins, that became the name. Instead of Mushroom Valley was one of the competing names. About 180 million years ago, 170 million years ago, right in there, if you were standing where we are now, you would be standing in the middle of a massive tidal flat at the edge of what geologists now call the Sundance Sea, which came in from the Pacific Northwest and created a bit of an ocean right here. The tidal flats, of course, those river channels, as they go into the ocean, they change over time. So when there was water there, you get the hard mudstone caps that you see on the goblins. It was condensed mud under the water. When the tidal flats moved a little bit, it was more just blowing sand. We were at the edge of a desert. So what that creates are layers of this entrada sandstone, with the mud cap forming the hard layer, which creates an umbrella over the stalks of the softer siltstone below. When rain and wind erode all the stuff around them, you get these mudstone capped goblins. And this layer is 430 feet thick. We only see a part of it here. So even though occasionally goblins will fall, that mudstone cap can then create a new umbrella for the stuff underneath it. It can actually come back to life, and that will continue for several million years.
and the geology that helped form that, it is incredible. We get to view that end result. And there are 3 valleys there at Goblin Valley State Park. And so you can discover those right up close, some of those personal hoodoos. Then you get back into the far wall, and you've got the high cliffs, and you can see where the entrada, when the rain comes, and it kind of just flows, and it dries there. It's just really fantastic.
We do have 8 miles of mountain biking trails. They're not through the Valley of Goblins. There are no wheeled vehicles or wheeled equipment allowed in there. But where they are up on the mesa top on the west side of the park. But now we've transformed that mesa into 8 miles of incredibly scenic bike trails. They're not very difficult. It's a relatively flat area. You get views both into the Valley of Goblins from above. You get views of the Henry Mountains to the south. You get views of Wild Horse Butte up close. You actually ride right up to it. And you can see as far away as the LaSalle Mountains in Moab. So yeah, it's very nice up there. So the Centerfell Swell, we are not in it, we are the gateway to it. So our rangers, we do know all about the swell. We explore it on our days off. There are dozens of canyons just in the immediate area you can go and have fun in of all levels of difficulty. There's a lot to see there. You could spend weeks exploring the swell just by itself. Spend a day at Little Wild Horse Canyon, a world famous slot canyon that is not very difficult, that is only about 6 miles away. And then once you've done that, it depends on what you're interested in. There are dirt bike trails in the Centerfell Swell. There are hundreds of miles of OHV tracks in the Centerfell Swell of all levels of difficulty. So there is, it's 70 by 100 miles. So it's a huge area that you can just explore at your leisure.
You can go down into the Goblins, you can discover, you can take pictures, you're going to be able to picnic, stargazing. It's a dark sky designated park. Campground, we have yurts, mountain biking. There are slot canyons nearby. That's a wonderful base camp to spend some time in.
You should come here because not many other places let you explore like we do. You will see something very unique that extends for miles that you can just explore depending on your energy levels, your adventure levels, and what your family wants to do. You can just go out there and see it.
It's no wonder that people from all over the world make the journey to this remote park. From exploring the hoodoo-covered landscapes, biking amongst the goblins, and exploring the ancient canyons of the surrounding San Rafael Swell, Goblin Valley is your base camp for an unforgettable desert adventure. When you think of iconic Western landscapes, scenes of red rock vistas, Old West towns, and unique places straight out of a Western come to mind. If you want to visit that place in real life, plan your next road trip to Kanab, Utah. Number 5 on our list, the Sand Caves. After a short scramble up the slick rock is the Kanab Sand Caves. These unique caves are fun to explore and offer some incredible photo opportunities. Coming in at number 4 on our must-visit places around Kanab, Utah is Peekaboo Slot Canyon. Located 9 miles outside of town lies a classic sandstone slot canyon, reminiscent of the features you see in Antelope Canyon in Arizona. The canyon is an easy walk with several small rocks to climb over, making it great for everyone, including small children. The red rock walls close in, creating spectacular light shows of red, orange, and pink as you go deeper within the canyon. Ancient Moki steps lead up into the ledges above, and during certain times of the year, light rays cut through the dust kicked up in the canyon, giving ample photo opportunities. Accessing this canyon requires a 4-wheel drive vehicle and crossing sand, but you can always book a tour in town. The number 3 spot on our list is a tie between 2 nearby locations, Pariah Canyon and the Toadstools, both located about 40 miles east of Kanab. Pariah Canyon is famous for its candy-colored hills that look like something right out of a fantasy movie. Just down the road a few miles is another must-visit place, known as the Toadstools. An easy 1.5-mile hike will take you into a world of toadstools and other unworldly rock formations. The trail ends at the iconic hoodoo or toadstool, which you cannot miss. Coming in at number 2, Coral Pink Sand Dunes State Park. Coral Pink Sand Dunes is a must-visit for families, adventure seekers, campers, photographers, and sightseers alike. These unique sand dunes look like they're made of pink sugar. Stop by the entrance station where you can rent sandboards and sleds to slide down the dunes or take a guided ATV tour from the park's concessionaire. And the #1 must-visit place around Kanab, Utah? White Pocket. People come from all over the world to visit this one-of-a-kind alien landscape. If possible, bring a tent, sleeping bag, and make an overnight visit to view the sunsets, unique colors, and one-of-a-kind landscapes that you'll only find here, near Kanab, Utah. For more than a century, people have traveled from all over to visit this huge 55-foot dome known as the Crater at the Homestead Resort in Midway. It's not the formation itself they come to see, but what's hidden deep inside this geologic monolith. Visitors enter through a long cave-like tunnel which leads into the middle of the crater, revealing an awe-inspiring sight, a mineral-rich 10,000-year-old geothermal hot spring. The calm azure water maintains a year-round temperature of around 90 degrees, making it perfect for scuba divers, snorkelers, swimmers, and mineral bathers alike. Join Utah Explored as we take you inside this geological wonder as we learn more about this hidden hot spring located in Midway, Utah.
The Homestead Crater is a natural geothermal hot spring with mineral water. People love to come here not only for the warm water, which averages around 96 degrees year-round, but also because it's 65 feet deep and you can enjoy a variety of activities in here. My name is Kitty Hallett. I'm an instructor up here at the Homestead Crater. I get the joy of being able to get in the water and teach people how to dive. It's my favorite thing in the world. You can come in the summer and it's super warm. You can come in the winter and it's even warmer. It's great. The minerals that are in the water include calcium, and that's mostly what it's made out of. So it's really good for you. I've had groups in the past that actually get out and they say they feel younger. They look fantastic, and I agree with them. The dome that's right behind me is actually over 10,000 years old. It's made out of the minerals that are in the water. Over that time frame, it built up layer by layer until the late 1890s. The farmers in the area did try to use this water for their crops. Crops and minerals do not mix so well. So they put a drain in and tried to use the water that way and just left the drain in and dropped the water level down about 55 feet to where it's at today. After that, they kind of left the drain in and tried to use it for various purposes. They tried to use it over at the Homestead Resort for mineral baths. Pipes and minerals don't mix very well either, so they had to stop that for a while. So they just leave the water coming in and going out the way it is now. In 1996, they blasted the entrance tunnel in, and we've been using it that way ever since. Hi, welcome to the crater. I'm going to take you through a walkthrough, and we're going to show you kind of what we have in here. So here is our 110-foot tunnel. This is not a natural tunnel. They did blast this in 1996 to make an access point to the water we're going to see here in a little bit. Now right here, we have a few changing areas. We do recommend that you come with your swimsuits on if possible. It does save you the changing time, but if you need them either before or afterhand, we have 4 of these. But let's keep on walking down here. Now we get to the fun part. So welcome to the Homestead Crater. This is our actual dome. This is the part of the crater that has not been modified by anyone. The tunnel we just walked through was blasted in 1996. They did that with dynamite. They actually, little by little, made their way up that little hallway, blasted it, took it out, then they got to the actual water. We also teach scuba diving up here at the crater, so you can get a full certification. If you're not interested in that, we also offer something called a scuba experience that lets you try it without having to do a full certification. So right behind me, I have some gear. I'm gonna go ahead and walk you through what this is. I'm gonna set it up with you, kind of show you what you'd be doing if you did come up with us. So this right here is one of our scuba tanks. This is the air that you would breathe off if you were under the water. Now this is what's called a buoyancy compensator device. This is the thing that makes you float and or sink. Now I've already got some pockets in here. Surprisingly, most people need a little bit of extra weight to dive. So I've got a little bit of weight in this BC to help me when I go down on my dive. Now what I'll do is I'll take this BC and I'll attach it to this tank. Now I have to do this a specific way, which sounds kind of silly, but I really do. I'm just gonna slide it over the top right here. And then I'm gonna line these up so my head doesn't smack into the back of this tank. I really don't want this tank sliding away from me while I'm under the water. Then we're gonna wiggle it, make sure I'm not gonna lose it. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hook up this regulator right here. So this is the part of our dive gear that helps me breathe. Now what these do is they take the air that's in this tank from the pressure that it's at, they convert it down to an air that we can breathe off of. I really want to make sure these breathe before I get in the water. Ta-da! Sounds like a scary sound, but that just lets me know I have air and it's coming out when it needs to. Next thing I'm going to do is inflate my BC right here. I'm going to make sure that I will be able to float once I get in the water. Now we've got a couple little parts here. I'm just going to hold this red button down. You can see it inflate as we go up. Okay, I know my BCD will float. Now I'm going to make sure that I can release air out of it. Just a quick tap on this silver button right here. Okay. Boink. I can let the air out if I need to. I've got all my gear, I'm ready to get in the water. Now once we've taught you some basic dive skills, we'll take you on a 20-minute dive. Either me or one of our other fantastic instructors up here will take you about 20 feet down underneath the water, have you swim circles, work on breathing, work on swimming, and a great place to do it in here because really warm water. For anyone that's ever had the chance to do anything like this in cold water, you don't even have to have a wetsuit. You just come in with your swimsuit, bring yourself, and we've got everything else for you. Then we come up after 20 minutes and you're done with your dive.
Whether you're looking for a weekend trip with the family, a one-of-a-kind scuba diving adventure, or simply a relaxing pit stop as you make your way across Utah, the crater at the Homestead Resort needs to be on your must-visit list. It's an experience you will never forget. When you visit Utah's trail country, it's like taking a step back in time through the history of the West. From the footpaths of the Fremont Indians who originally inhabited the area, to the old Spanish trail blazed by the conquistadors. Utah's trail country offers a treasure trove of historic opportunity, adventure, and activities for the whole family. From riding the expanse of OHV trails to river rafting under the colorful Big Rock Candy Mountain, there is always something new to discover in Utah's trails country. Fremont Indian State Park allows visitors an opportunity to step back in time to a place when Native Americans hunted, fished, gathered, and planted in the area for more than 1,000 years. These trails can be hiked or biked and offer access to some of the world's most impressive petroglyphs and other rock art.
My name is Kevin Taylor, Park Manager, Fremont Indian State Park. Back in the 1980s, the interstate came through this area, and as it did, there was a group of people, locals, who actually made a big push to be able to preserve this area due to the rich heritage it had with the rock art, Native American artifacts. And as they were doing the excavations, they found a Native American village, and as such, they were able to excavate those sites. So in the museum, we house the artifacts that were excavated here along I-70, such as pottery, arrow points, figurines. Numerous other artifacts are housed in cases that you can come observe with you and your family and enjoy the opportunities to hike.
My name's Chad McWilliams, the Sevier County Tourism Director, and we're here in Sevier County, down on the south end of the county at the world famous Big Rock Candy Mountain. Sevier County is known as Utah's trail country. We are a couple hours south of Salt Lake, a couple hours north of Las Vegas, so right in a prime area to get out from the hustle and bustle. Come here to Sevier County, known as Utah's trail country. We're known as Utah's trail country for many reasons, because we have trails for cycling, trails for ATV, UTV, trails for hiking, trails for runners. We have all kinds of trail systems with thousands and thousands of miles of trails. You want to cycle 19 miles worth of bike trail through beautiful canyons running right next to the Sevier River. You can raft the river while you're here in your downtime. Whitewater rafting the Sevier River is family friendly. So you can bring kids of all ages. The guides are excellent guides here at Big Rock Candy Mountain. So you're going to have a great time. It's something you can bring your family. We encourage you to bring your family and enjoy it. You can camp also right here at our local caboose village, or you can camp and bring your RV and you can stay right here. You can whitewater raft right out of those spots, or you can jump on the bike path, or you can go right up on the trails right here with your ATV or UTV. So that is why we are known as Utah's Trail Country. We want you to come here to Sevier County, Utah, and come find your trail.
When it comes to history, Utah is home to some of the most important and culturally significant archaeological sites in the world. Who were the people who built the mysterious stone towers, carved petroglyphs, painted pictographs, and inhabited cliffside dwellings across Utah's canyons? Come with us as we join archaeologists from across the state on an exclusive tour as they show us some of their favorite cultural sites and artifacts, while discussing the importance of respectful visitation.
Native American friends and colleagues remind me that it's always good to first approach these things when you are feeling good yourself, when you have good thoughts and a good heart. Approaching a site that with these important elements is a very healthy thing to do, and I think that sets us up to respect the sites as we visit them, but also the folks that are descendants of these ancestral peoples.
My name is Jonathan Till. I'm the curator of collections at Edge of the Cedars State Park Museum. Here at Edge of the Cedars, we embrace the deep history of the Four Corners area, especially as that history pertains to Native American peoples. We've got 13,000 years of deep history to appreciate here, so let's take a little dive for a few minutes and talk about some of the things in our museum. We're standing in front of a couple of turkey feather blankets at Edge of the Cedars here. Think about how many feathers it actually took to make a 3 by 3 foot blanket. We've had some folks look at this just recently, and we've come to an estimate of 11,000 feathers for this 3 foot by 3 foot blanket. So I'm standing in front of the macaw feather apron, one of the more spectacular items at Edge of the Cedars, and that's saying something because we have a lot of spectacular things here. But this is a flash of Mexico. When we think about the Four Corners area, really we need to think about ourselves as being a part of northern Mexico. 1,000 years ago, that was the case. This object was found just north of Blanding, just north of the Abajo Mountains near Canyonlands. Folks 1,000 years ago who saw this, they knew that the feathers came from hundreds of miles away to the south. They knew about that world down in Mexico, and they knew that this was an important piece of that world.
We're standing in beautiful 9 Mile Canyon. 9 Mile Canyon is much longer than 9 miles. It's about 40 miles long, and it's sometimes called the world's longest art gallery. My name's Tim Riley. I'm the curator of archaeology at the USU Eastern Prehistoric Museum. We're part of Utah State University. And what's great about 9 Mile Canyon is so much of it's really accessible right along the road. As you drive slowly, almost every side canyon you stop at, if you get out, you will see something of interest if you take your time and poke around. Let's go take a closer look at the owl panel here. As you can see, there's actually several different panels on different rock faces. And there's a lot of different things going on, right? We see some partial pecking, perhaps an incomplete or a sketch of one here. Here we see what might be one of the horned snakes that you sometimes see in the canyon, or perhaps just an abstract glyph. A bighorn sheep, very common representation. But really the star of this panel that are generally thought of as owls. And I think two of them, for sure, I agree, are owl shapes. We've got this one here with its little tufty ears and its big eyes, same with that one. And then we've got this other one over here that's a little bit different in style. The owls in a lot of cultures are sometimes thought of as harbingers or perhaps taboo or sacred animals, and may not be might be something that you wouldn't want to depict, but here we see them depicted, and that's another reason a lot of the researchers who study the rock art think this might be a Ute panel. Both the bear and the owl are much more affiliated in some of this creation stories and traditions of the Ute than they are in some of the other native groups here in Utah. Despite the fact that we do see handprints on here like this, we don't want to touch those. We don't want to go up and see if it's the same size as ours. So even though some of this rock art is really accessible and right at your face level, the last thing you want to do is touch it. The more we touch this, the sooner it will disappear off of these faces, and we won't be able to preserve it for future generations. So whatever you do, don't touch this. Of course, you want to be respectful of staying on trails and visiting with a leave no trace mentality, no matter what you do. But you want to come out here and take some time, plan for at least half a day, if not a full day, to explore and visit some of the well-marked sites and maybe do some exploring on your own.
Whether it's priceless art on a remote canyon wall or an artifact on display at some of the many museums across the state, these things that have been left behind by those who came before us are puzzle pieces to better understanding the past. Many of these sites and items are still sacred to the ancestors of the people who once lived in these canyons. When visiting places like this, it's important to do so carefully and with a sense of respect. Never remove anything, alter, or leave a mark. Let's all do our part to preserve these amazing places. On this episode of Utah Explored, we visited some of Utah's most unique and interesting places. Together, we wandered the hoodoo-covered landscapes of Goblin Valley State Park, soared high above this otherworldly landscape, and explored the surrounding San Rafael swell via designated OHV routes. We relaxed in mineral-rich warm waters and went scuba diving into the azure blue waters of a geothermal hot springs inside the volcano light crater. And we finished our journey on a private tour of some of the state's best cultural sites, while learning what we can do to respectfully visit these amazing places. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Utah Explored. Join us on the next episode to explore more amazing places, unique attractions, off-the-beaten-path destinations, while learning all about the culture, history, and one-of-a-kind activities that only you can experience here in Utah. Get out there and explore, but as always, do so with respect. See what's on the next episode and watch previous episodes at utahexplored.com.